My name is Tina Shortland, as you can see on the screen. I'm the Vice President of NAVIO, the Norwegian Audiovisual Translators Association. I've worked as a subtitler and audiovisual translator for over 30 years, and I'm here to talk to you about our feedback portal. Now, the working title was Complaints Portal, but we didn't want to be negative, because apparently we're always complaining. And you're also allowed to give kudos, so not just complaints. We decided to call it Bedre Texting, which can be translated into better subtitles in English. The people behind it are Morten Gottschalk, NAVI's president, who's here today, Dario Kverme Birhane, one of the board members, me, the vice president, and Sindre Rambøll, who has been our tech support. I want to give you a bit of background on why we decided this was an important project. As an association, there's lots of things we could do if we had the time. So Norway is a subtitling nation, and just about all foreign content, films, series, documentaries are subtitled, and a lot of Norwegian content has subtitles for the deaf and hard of hearing, or SDH. Viewers are used to subtitles, and it was actually how I learned to read when I grew up. A Norwegian study suggested that Norwegians read the equivalent of 17 novels a year in subtitles. So we feel that we're doing an important job making content accessible for all. We have a long tradition of subtitling, and I believe we were the first country, at least in Europe, to create subtitling guidelines back in 2016. These were the result of a collaboration between NAVIO, the Language Council, and several language service providers. Around that time, streaming services entered the stage and changed the industry. We had a lot more content that needed to be localized, and even though we had worked with templates and some machine translation since about 2004, machine translation post-editing, or MTPE, became more prominent. And lately, with the arrival of AI, we've also seen the introduction of fully automated subtitles. As experts in our field, we were concerned about the lack of quality subtitles for the viewers and the low rates and poor working conditions for post-editors. As experts, we also know that audiovisual translation is rarely suitable for machine translation and AI. We've also heard both content owners and LSPs suggest that they don't get many complaints. And our initial thought was that maybe that was because it's not that easy to complain. Every now and then, we would see viewers complain in the papers, for instance, or forums with funny subtitling mistakes, and we thought that viewers do care. They just don't have an easy way to be heard, and that was the start of better subtitles. And as promised in the program, I will be doing a short demo without being online, so these are just pictures of the website. If you've seen subtitles that are below par, translation mistakes, spelling mistakes, missing subtitles, or subtitles that are not in sync with the audio, you can go to our website where you're asked if you would like to contribute to better subtitles. To do that, you need to choose which service you want to report, whether it's on linear TV, or one of the streaming services, or any other place. That could be, for instance, cinema. You will then choose what the problem was, whether it was subtitles in Norwegian, in Sami, for the deaf and hard of hearing, or subtitles from Norwegian into another language. We then ask you to type in the name of the program, the time this occurs, and what the issue is. You have two options. You can specify if you want to, or you can just upload a screenshot. If you upload a screenshot, then that's it. You have added your feedback. It's actually that simple. But if you want to specify, then you have that option on the next page. I've translated the main categories on this slide. We have poor readability on idiomatic language and spelling mistakes, just to name a few. I would like to point out that we have used layman's terms in the Norwegian version, as this is for viewers. They're not subtitlers. You just choose your issue and then tick it. And you get the option of adding a screenshot too, and you can add comments if you want to. And that's it really. Your feedback has now been submitted. Very simple. And every so often, we will download the data we have collected, and it will look something like this. It's just a very simple Excel sheet that we then tidy up and sort, and don't worry, you're not meant to be able to read this. It's just to show you what it looks like. When you've submitted your feedback, you're taken to this page, and you can ignore it, or you can check out the different pages that we have here. We have what happens next, which is where you can read what we do with the data. We promise to publish data on this website and to inform stakeholders at regular intervals. I would just like to add that we have seen content owners correct mistakes as a result of this feedback, so that's a huge win for the viewers. We have numbers and statistics, which I'll show you in a minute. We have press releases, subtitling guidelines. You can submit another response if you want to. You can read about subtitling in the media, and we've added some useful links. The domain is called texting.no. It was one that we already owned. It has resources used to teach school children about subtitling, and it seemed like the perfect place for viewers' feedback. I promised to show you our numbers and statistics page. We have had about 350 submissions so far, and this is a pie chart of what people complain about. We have the category wrong translation at 25%, unidiomatic language at 19%, and the lack of subtitles at 18%, so that's clearly a huge accessibility issue. Then this chart shows who gets the most complaints. And here we have both linear TV and streaming services. If you're wondering about that orange one, I can explain later. And this is, here we see the channels or services that perform the worst when it comes to lack of subtitles. And TV2 did particularly badly here because they had some huge sporting programs. I don't remember if it was football or something like that, that they didn't subtitle for the hard of hearing real time. So our biggest hurdle since launching in December last year has been to spread the word about this service. When our press release was sent out, only one magazine picked it up, and that was a magazine for members of the Norwegian Association of Disabled, which might explain why lack of subtitles are in such a prominent spot. We decided to do a social media campaign to make viewers aware of this service, and well, here you've got one example. Do you find the quality of subtitles frightening? And believe me, some of it is, yes, definitely. So this was shown on Facebook and Instagram mainly. Here's another example. This is actually a real example where the viewer has reported an issue. We go through the feedback to check if complaints are valid. And I had to check this one. These were fully automated subtitles, and I would suggest that they were so bad and such a distraction that the viewers would have been better off just looking at the picture. The original English is you bitch and complain, but the English verb to bitch has been translated into a noun in Norwegian. And that creates a particularly odd sentence that you can't make heads or tails of in 3 to 4 seconds, which is the time this subtitle will be on the screen. Here's another example. This has been post-edited, I believe. In English, you understand the context of the word plates, meaning license plates. But this has been translated into the kind of implement you eat your food off. Another example of a translation that's become a distraction from enjoying watching a program. So we reckon that subtitles don't get any better even if you swear at the TV. So we suggest you go to texting.no to leave your feedback instead. At the moment, we have our website up and running. Sweden is close to launching theirs, and Portugal, France, and the Netherlands are interested in setting up the same service. They say that data gives you power, and we think the viewers deserve to have this power. And with more languages, we will have more data. And we would like all this data to be streamlined so that we can compare feedback for different languages. I'd also like to add that most association work like this is done by professionals who donate their time as volunteers. So I'm asking you here today to spread the word, if you can, to support this kind of service and to see how you can get involved if you're interested. Before I take any questions, I had a question on Slido. Do you have that ready? And while you're using Slido, if there's anyone that has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I'll also be here afterwards and tomorrow if there's any more. Yeah. No, I'm not going to press this.
Yes, yes.
Shouldn't this be a citizen service, publicly funded?
Sure. And we would love to have it funded by someone. Yes, definitely. We're a poor association run by volunteers. So definitely it's a citizen service. Nobody's suggested it yet, though. And like I said, we've struggled to get the word out. So, but we have been in touch with government and, yeah. Good question. Anyone else? At the back?
Okay, no, yes. I was just wondering whether you have any insight as to the people who give you feedback. Is it like, do you have some data about who they are? Because I believe that not all layers of society, let's say, would make the effort, and it would be interesting to see who.
I agree. I think this should be a service that's readily available for everyone, and that's why we would like everyone to know about it. But we, for different reasons, we do not collect any emails, or you don't have to leave an email address or anything like that. So we don't know, to be fair. Was there a question there first?
Red, right? Okay, here we go. I saw a Slido question that appeared and disappeared in less than a second about the guidelines, about the Norwegian guidelines, and of course there are others, as we know. Maybe you could just mention the guidelines and where they're available.
Of course, I would be very happy to. I don't know, you say about 10 languages where we have guidelines? And you can find them on the AVT website. They're all there, Audiovisual Translators Europe website. Yes?
Any reaction from the broadcasting companies? Did you have any reactions?
So far, they've been very positive, yeah. But for us, one of the problems has been to actually find who to contact. So you end up sending an email to info@, and then the channel. That's not great. We would like to have that dialogue with the different channels, with the different broadcasters. So that's been my job lately, you know, to discuss it with them and say, hey, we have launched this, and who do we contact, yeah. So if there's anyone here that would like to give me their details, I'll be very happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tina. I would have many questions, but I'm sure we can talk later. But I would like to go back to the very first question and maybe have a comment on that, because with the implementation of European Accessibility Act, actually at least the TV broadcasters are obliged to collect feedback. And we did a little research on that across various countries, and the way they do it is not always ideal. It's quite vague. and the forms and the procedures they use might not be the best, and definitely they can't be evaluated always as accessible. And I think your platform would work really well. So maybe if you're looking at where to join forces and who would hear that feedback, I think this is the best time to put the foot in. And I was very much inspired by what you presented, because for us this would work exactly for this reason very well. I wanted to ask how you evaluate the relevance of the comments and the feedback you get. I know you mentioned this is a voluntary work for many of you, but do you have some criteria how you judge this is something that might really be an issue? Do you have experts on all of the areas you mentioned that they can provide feedback on? That would be really, really great to know. Thank you very much.
Well, we're all subtitlers. There's about 3 of us. Experienced subtitlers. We can tell whether it's a valid point or not straight away. You do, and I think that's a point, that you have to be a subtitling expert to be able to check these. Yes. There was one other point I wanted to make about accessibility. We spoke to someone from the Association for the Deaf in Norway, who said that, yeah, they say everything has been subtitled, but not when it's live. So I have to sort of choose when to watch it so that I do get the subtitles. So that is an issue. Accessibility is an issue, yeah. And we're hoping we can highlight that with this, definitely. Yes?
I just wanted to ask, what was the volume of complaints that you have gotten, and the time span and the number of complaints?
We launched in December last year. I don't know if it was... We thought it might be a good idea to do it just before Christmas, because people might be watching TV. It seemed to just drown in everything else at the time. I think there was some other news coming out the same day of our press release. So up until now, we have 350 responses, which is not a lot, but there's also just 5 million people in Norway. So that's also something else to consider. But we're hoping, you know, with Sweden also doing this now, we're hoping there'll be a lot more.
I can. Now. And how many of these 350 do you think are related to the use of machine translation or AI directly or post-editing?
I don't know. We can't see that unless you check more from a program. I mean, it doesn't say anywhere, does it? It doesn't say, unless there's a name at the end, which is like a quality stamp, I suppose. You know, I put my name on and I say, this, I've created quality subtitles. I stand by what I do. But unless you have that, you don't know if it's post-edited. Sometimes it will say, like in one of the examples I had, it said fully automated subtitles. That was on, I won't say, it was a big streaming service.
I know this was about subtitles, but one idea that popped up in my mind is when I'm watching TV, there is also live captions. So somebody's watching news, it's live and it's captions, it's not translation. Are you aware of any initiatives on that front, or do you see that as something that inherently does not pose as many problems?
We have sort of had to start somewhere, and this is the very beginning. And I think at one point we started talking about maybe adding dubbing as well. So there is scope for adding things. But at the moment, we're doing, subtitles for Norwegian, or translated subtitles, but also subtitling for the deaf and hard of hearing.
One more question in the room, at the back. I was just wondering if you knew, you kind of went into this now a little bit, but if there were any other projects going on now about kind of making audiovisual translation and its products a bit more democratic in a way? Because we had a presentation earlier as well about dubbing and AI and how that's kind of not really what the consumers want, nor the translators, and so I'm wondering if there's any other research going on.
Not that I know of. Well, I know there's a perception studies thing going on in the UK, which might be European. I'm not quite sure. We also know that the streaming services, for instance, they do check their data and they know what's going on. But no, there's nothing like this that I've seen anywhere, no.
And there's a pretty straightforward question on Slido. Could you give us an idea of what happens next when someone submits a claim?
Yeah, we check it and it goes in the statistics, basically. And then we do, like I said, we do contact the content owners, the broadcasters, and send this data to them as well.
Do they react?
Yeah, we have had them changing things, yeah, for the better.
Any more questions in the room?
Could we just see if people here are interested, you know, in the question, if you'd be able to use it or not? Or did that disappear? The poll.
The Slido poll.
Yeah. So, yeah, just come and see me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Now,